Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Recyclist, and welcome back to my conversation with Teresa Espy, the COO of Diamond Scientific, and Shane Mars, the Biogas Systems Director of Diamond Scientific. We'll jump right back into part two of this interview. Please enjoy. The realm of science and the realm of gas analysis and the kind of things that we do and the kinds of things that we help our customers with, it's sometimes it's a case of just getting them the right analyzer and it's a fairly quick fix, but we also deal with customers on a much more long-term basis. One of the things that I'd like to touch on really quickly is actually a project that you've been working on, Teresa, for a couple of years now with NASA, because one of the things that you've been helping them with is this series of tubing and piping, correct?
Right.
And when it comes to NASA, it's not, let's just say they're fairly particular over at Kennedy Space Center.
Right. We're working with a prime contractor for NASA, and they needed tubing. And, of course, then you go through the spec of what the requirements are. And it's not easy finding a manufacturer that can meet all those specs. And so we're not there at the 2-year mark, but, we're about a year and a half, and it has been a challenge, but we're getting there. And so far, so good, and we're hoping to be able to do more. But we get through it, and I keep tabs with the client, let them know what's going on, just because it's so critical to keep communications open, especially when things are not going as smoothly as you'd like, but as long as the communications stay open, that's something that keeps them engaged.
Do you have any big, super awesome, interesting projects you're working on currently, Shane?
Yeah, so one of the big projects that I'm excited to continue working on is one that we've implemented a new idea of the hot swap SWG model. The SWG is a continuous stationary gas analyzer for the biogas streams. They do, of course, come as emission analyzers, but in this particular project and my specialty, we are focused, of course, on the biogas one.
Yeah, it's a big honking machine, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's big. Up to 10 sample points that are monitored continuously via time sharing. And all kinds of bells and whistles on the thing. So yeah, we set up this client of ours down south, or I guess up north from here, with a module that is a twin to that which they've had in the field. So when it comes time for them to send their unit in for calibration, they can simply pull the twin off the shelf, plug it in, and continue. Therein reducing their operational downtime to nothing.
Obviously with this industry of renewable natural gas really popping off, especially over the past couple of years, I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in maybe getting into, their own very high level, 10-point gas analysis. And I'm certainly not trying to scare anybody off, far from it. But we do find that with projects like this, there are a lot of considerations and there are a lot of things that people need to consider when they take this step toward jumping into the biogas, the renewable natural gas industry. In your experience, Shane, what are some of the big things that you think, people should be considering, some of the big things that maybe might fall through the cracks for some of these projects?
Some things to consider would probably be the conditioning. I think that is the main aspect that will affect operations. If the gas isn't conditioned properly, it's going to cause problems. It's going to disrupt your production, and operations will cease up. So basically, if you consider biogas, it's often coming from hot, smelly garbage. So the gas itself is going to be humid, warm, full of residuals that coat surfaces, clog up machinery, and can deteriorate the surface of certain materials. And of course, along the lines of safety, the big scary gases such as H2S, CH4, CO, all of these gases that can be present in this sort of a facility, they all need to be kept in check.
Well, what about you, Teresa? What are some considerations that you think maybe often go under the radar for some of the clients that you've worked with, and definitely things that people should be thinking about?
In the past year, I've noticed a definite increase from folks around the country in monitoring ambient air, whether it be for volatile organic compounds, that which we call VOCs, or constituents that are not organic, or even particulate matter, which are suspended particles in the air. And we're getting more, there's more, it seems to be more funding for it, and they're very interested in putting these instruments to detect those contaminants, whether it be in traffic intersections in the city, from emissions from vehicles, or out in the country. Maybe there's like an oil refinery nearby a community, and so people are more interested. And it's not just it's all kinds. It's not just the state, with EPA regulations telling them, okay, we need to focus on what contaminants are out there, but it's also even nonprofit organizations that have contacted us with wanting to know how to solve that problem, how to detect those pollutants in the air.
From my times visiting sites, what I have observed to be one of the biggest problems is condensate within the gas lines. In certain environments, it can freeze even and block the flow of the system, shut the operation down for the time being. But yeah, if you consider the fact that biogas comes from the process of breaking down solid organic waste, otherwise known as hot, stinky garbage, it's going to produce a lot of heat, it's going to produce a lot of moisture and residual byproducts that stick to surfaces, degrade enamels, things like that. And so the conditioning of the gas is really, really a consideration point that I find to be key in these projects.
And I've got to say, you guys have a ton of experience, obviously, within this industry now. What are some of the big trends that you guys are seeing from the past couple years in renewable natural gas and some of the other scientific projects that you guys work with? Shane, I'll start with you. What has the outlook been like for this industry for the past couple years coming up to now?
So since I started with the company, I've really seen the biogas field grow. Each year, it's just gone up. And for that matter, I would have to imagine it continues. With the infrastructure that's been put in place, the continued research on the analyzers that we have in production or, in field, in the use, will only continue to become more efficient, work out bugs, things along those lines that will ultimately get us, more and more precise with this gas production, with our how much we can reap from what we've used. I anticipate that, much like everyone else does in today's age, that artificial intelligence will become implemented more in the control systems of these facilities, monitoring mixes, so to say, and things like that to ensure that the production goes as smoothly as possible. It's not taking human eyes. It'll automatically detect values and make adjustments to the production process as it sees necessary. This will likely only continue to grow as the field does as well.
And what about you, Teresa? What are you seeing from the industry?
Yeah, even though there has been an increase in wanting to monitor ambient air, I've also seen an increase in concern of PFAS, also known as per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. But it's much easier to say PFAS.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. Or forever chemicals. That's another common name for it.
Yeah, I think the big example that I think most people go to with that is like Teflon, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And those are very minute, tiny particles of plastics, different types. It's in the water stream is mainly their concern. The PFAS can leach from landfills. And that liquid that's produced by a landfill, especially after rain and just the moisture that's in the landfill over time, builds up, and it's known as leachate. And so that stuff needs to be pumped out. Actually, there's a technology known as reverse osmosis, which is a filtering process. And to be able to filter out the contaminants that are in the solutions, in the leachate, the reverse osmosis manages to filter out PFAS and other constituents to the point where it's almost pure water.
And what do you guys see from the industry moving forward? Obviously, we just came into 2025, and there's a lot of excitement for the outlook of this year and for the next few years when it comes to this industry. I think there's a lot of people that are about to throw their hats in the arena and start to really pick up on what this industry is putting down. Do you guys see the continued kind of explosive growth of RNG in that regard? What do you guys think?
Oh, certainly. I mean, garbage isn't going anywhere. We make more than ever. I think for that matter, the only thing we could continue to do as a humanity is become more and more efficient at reusing what we have, and for that matter, reaping the benefits of what we can harvest from our environment. So instead of just dumping garbage and leaving it for generations in the future to deal with, we are well enough on top of utilizing that secondary fuel source.
What do you think, Teresa?
People want clean air. They want clean water. As technology continues to improve, we find ways to lower that cost. And so I do see a brighter future for that clean air and clean water.
And hopefully this talk has gotten you guys interested about the renewable natural gas industry, the biogas industry. And if you guys are thinking about jumping in yourself, if you guys are interested in learning more, do feel free to reach out to the sponsor of Recyclist, Diamond Scientific, to learn more. You can reach them online at diamondsci.com. That's diamondsci.com. Or you can even set up a personalized presentation by calling 321-223-7500. Once again, I'd like to thank Shane Mars and Teresa Espy for joining me today. Thank you both so much.
Of course, Eric. Thank you for having me again.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you for listening today. We will see you back here next week for another brand new episode of Recyclist. Until then, my name is Eric Provost, and once again, thank you for listening.